Hi guys, my name's Bridget. I'm one of the exercise physiologists at Vector Health. One of the really common sayings in the fitness industry is use it or lose it, and today I actually wanted to come on and talk to you guys about some of those physiological adaptations and some of the reasons why we have to use it or we lose it. I guess one of the best ways to explain this is to actually look at what happens when we use it. So our body is, and this is another saying that I say quite a lot, our body adapts to the stimulus we provide. We are ever evolving, ever growing organism, and every single cell, the thousands of them that there are constantly fighting every day to progress us, to grow us, and to evolve us. As we do this, when you give your body a new stimulus or a new situation or a new environment in your day-to-day life, your body has to adapt, and it does an extraordinary job of making you acclimatise to that role. And you probably see this in your day-to-day life. I'm sure any one of you could pick a certain time. Maybe you changed schools, you moved across the other side to the other side of the world, you got a new job, or you got a new boss that wanted things done differently. Pretty much sometime in your life where you've had an environmental switch or a change, and it's been really stressful at the start, but eventually over time your body has adapted and you've become and done things differently to be able to adapt to that new situation. Okay, now relating that back into kind of muscle structure and function, when we do any kind of physical activity, there is a whole cascade of events that follow that, and heaps of physiological adaptations with really, really fancy cell letters and single vowels. I'm not going to go into all of that because it's a little bit over the top of your head, but one of the biggest things is that we signal protein synthesis, and protein synthesis means that all the cells in our body grow and make proteins. And our proteins are what makes up our muscle structure. So the more that we do physical activity, the more that protein synthesis is engaged. So out of the thousands of physiological responses that occur when we exercise, I'm just going to touch on 3 today. The first one is what we call autophagy, which means where all of the cells come in and they actually get rid of any of the old or slightly degraded cells, and then they use the materials from the old cells to make new cells. So pretty much the old saying, flushing out the toxins, that kind of thing. That's where that idea comes from, is that we're getting rid of any of the cells that have kind of lived their lifespan, and then using the materials from breaking them down to create new cells and grow our muscle. That's a really important part of the health of our muscles and a really important part of growth metabolism, and exercise is one of the best ways that we can stimulate that response. And then the next one that we'll talk about is protein synthesis. So protein synthesis is when all the cells in our bodies try and make more protein molecules, and so these protein molecules then go into the muscle and become what the cell or the muscle is made of. So muscles are made of heaps of cells with proteins. So this is also kind of where that whole idea of having protein or a protein shake, 30 minutes after you're finished exercising comes from, is that you're trying to generate an increased spike in that protein synthesis. So you can do that from 2 ways, from exercise or from having more protein in your diet or ingesting protein. Then you start making more protein to be able to build that muscle. And then the third response that we'll talk about is the glucoregulatory action of insulin, which involves all of our blood sugar and pretty much getting all of that sugar and those carbohydrates that are in the blood, pushing them up and storing them away into the muscle. And there's transporters in there that are specifically targeted and activated through exercise to help that process of the sugars being uptaken into the muscle. So if we look at all these different things that get told to kind of move faster, or to kind of these processes that get told to start when we exercise, well, then what happens when we don't have those processes and that starting anymore? So all of those things that I just said now stop working. So we don't have that continual stimulus to say, let's keep growing muscle, let's keep adapting, let's keep evolving, let's keep progressing. Muscle, because it's got all of those things that I've just talked about, it's got carbohydrates, it's got protein, it even can have some fat stores in it. When we stop exercising, instead of the body saying, hey, let's eat more food, they just start breaking down the muscles, because it's much easier. The body has already put these cells into a form that's very easy for it to pull into and take out of. So it pretty much breaks down these and then uses these for nutrient supply, your muscles and all of that from there for nutrient supply, rather than saying to your body, hey, I need to eat more. And again, maybe if you're an athlete or you ever played sport growing up, you might have noticed that when you're in your pre-season and your season kind of era of your training, you're eating a lot more, probably sleeping a lot more too, because that's where all of these processes really happen at their peak. And then when you go into your off season and you're not playing anywhere near as much sport, you stop eating as much, you stop being as hungry, and all of those, that's coming back down to the opposite end of it. So yeah, that's a lot of information chucked out there very quickly. If you have any questions or want me to go through that, I'm happy to do that. But pretty much in summary, the brain and the body adapts to the stimulus you provide it. If you're constantly providing your body with the stimulus to grow and adapt by lifting weights, by walking, by running, by sprinting, by playing any of the sports that you choose to play, then you're going to constantly continue to grow and adapt and evolve and progress. However, if you then stop that stimulus from happening, our body wants to be as efficient as it can. So if it determines that these muscles, which have a lot of needs in terms of maintenance for energy, you have to eat a lot of food to maintain those muscles, and it requires a lot of these processes to grow and grow and grow. So if it decides that it doesn't need to undergo those processes anymore, then it's going to start breaking down that muscle so that it doesn't have to continue to maintain it. And that's pretty where it comes from. Use it or lose it. Your body will do the best it can to be adaptable and to be as efficient for the lifestyle that you provide it. Hopefully that all made sense. If you have, as I said before, if you have any questions, please yell out. If you need further clarification, I'm more than happy to help with that as well. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys next time.